Hey guys, what's going on? Troy at Mountain Man Treasure, and you saw the thumbnail. I've been busted.
Mountain Man, Mountain Man.
Treasures.
Welcome into the channel, guys. My name is Troy. I'm a reseller in Montana. I go to garage sales and estate sales and thrift stores. I buy stuff and then I sell it again on eBay. At least that's what I normally do. I won't be doing it for the next 3 days because eBay has thrown me into eBay jail. My account has been suspended, and I'll just come out and say it. The reason, well, reasons actually, different reasons when I talk to different people, kind of ridiculous. Check that. Super ridiculous. The issue, once again, a patch. You might remember, if you've been watching the channel for a while, that I got temporarily in trouble for listing a patch a bit back. This was a hunter's education patch. It's something you graduate from hunter's ed, and they gave you a patch to put on your jacket or your shirt or whatever, a little circle. And it got flagged by a computer, apparently. And I got a hold of them and said, hey, you know, this is not a government-issued patch. This is what it is. And I actually had people there at that point that said, yeah, you're right. I see what you're talking about. We'll go ahead and we'll take that off your account. Okay, great. It was a hassle to have to go through, but at least they understood. They said, hey, a computer flagged it. Now that you're telling us a real person's looking at it, and you're right, we'll fix it. I was hoping that's what would happen this time. It's a National Park Service volunteer patch. Okay? It's a volunteer patch, not a park ranger patch. Volunteer. Right there, big old letters right on the top. Apparently, this falls under the government identification policy on eBay. Despite the fact, we'll just start it off, and apologies at the jump. This is going to be just a talking head rant video. Sorry. That's what's going to happen here. It says volunteer right across the top, but apparently this violated the government identification policy because I got a message this morning. I listed this and I got that message inside of a couple hours because I listed some stuff and then I had just 4 orders to pack up. So I came out here, started packing stuff up, and when I finished, I saw I had a priority message from eBay. And that's when I found out that my account had been suspended for 3 days because of listing this patch, which went against the government identification policy. Now, this is a vintage patch. I think it goes probably back to the 80s, judging by the other patches that I got. I bought this in, you'll see the video coming up here soon. I bought this in a lot of patches, and judging by the age of all of those, probably in the 1980s. They actually don't use this style patch for volunteers anymore. Now it's a circle. Okay, so you know it's older. They've been doing that for at least 10 years now, I believe. It's been a circle. Now, the park rangers use a patch that looks like that arrowhead in the middle. Without this stuff on the outside, it's just a brown patch. Now, it does look like that, okay? But that's the entirety of the patch, is just the brown. And so for the volunteer, it's got volunteer on it. It's got green, and then it's got the yellow trim. None of that is on the actual Park Service, forest ranger, whatever, government employee. They don't wear this. I mean, it's a side note that an actual park ranger not only has the brown patch, but a badge. He doesn't just go around with a patch. Beside the point. So I got a hold of eBay, and I said, hey, here's the deal. This is what I listed. Y'all yanked it, and I'd appreciate it if you could fix it, because you yanked the item and you gave us an account suspension for 3 days. And this is not a government employee worn thing. Okay, this is a volunteer patch. Not to mention the fact that it's vintage, it's old, it's an old style that's not even used anymore. And usually I go to eBay for Business on Facebook, and they tend to be at least a little bit more human, I suppose. They don't just read responses out of a flip book of, you know, what do I say when they say this? Generally, they've been more helpful. You don't always win, but they're generally a little more helpful. So when I got the message, And when I wrote eBay, I said, hey, the message says that this could be used to impersonate a park ranger, and that's why you yanked it down, and that's why we've been suspended for 3 days, which means that I can't list anything for 3 days, and none of my listings are going to show up in any search. Not going to show up for 3 days. So the store is dead. Now, I didn't sell anything today either, of course, before that thing came across. So my store is dead cold for the next couple of days. There are some things that we can do, but for the most part, I'm gone for 3 days on eBay. I don't exist. So I let them know this is what's going on, and I'd really appreciate it if you could fix the problem. When I got a hold of them, I also pointed out the fact that there are, I believe, at least 3 listings of volunteer patches right now. Not one of them not the same as this, but I believe a couple of them exactly the same on hats. I don't know if they were loose. I don't remember now. But this same patch is available for sale. You do a look at solds, and you can see, I'll put it up here. There are several solds. One volunteer patch, I think it's actually the new patch, the new volunteer patch, because it's the circle. It sold either today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday that patch sold. It's not even an old one. And then others, just like this, throwing it around, just like this, have sold. And so I say, hey, there are those listed. There are some sold. And I want to know what's going on. eBay for Business, Caesar at eBay for Business gets back with me. He's not somebody that's helped me on there before. You start to recognize the names every now and then. He says that the reason that it was pulled, that this is the reason that he gave after he looked at it. He said that it's because it closely resembles a patch that's currently in use by the park rangers, and it could be used to fake somebody out that you're a park ranger. Again, the brown part is the park ranger. Volunteer right across the top. So if you show up with this patch on and say, hey, I'm a park ranger, who's going to believe it when it says volunteer right there? Oh, no, they just ran out of patches. This was the only one that... What are you going to... How does that work? No park ranger impersonator is going to wear a volunteer patch. But I'm told because it closely resembles the patch that they wear, that's why it was yanked. And so I let Caesar know that it does say volunteer right across the top. I'm not sure if he caught that. I said, hey, it says volunteer. It's not a park forest service. It says volunteer. I also let him know that there are 12 solds in the last 90 days of National Park Service volunteer patches. What he responded to me with essentially was, well, if you want to snitch on them, let me know. I'll take down their accounts too. I told him no. Now, first off, it's not my job to go down and report things that apparently eBay says are out of policy, even though by reading their policy, they're not. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go down and start reporting listings. That's ridiculous. Tried to explain to him again, here's what the actual patch that they wear looks like. Here's what mine is. Notice the huge difference. And once again, listed, sold. And he threw out their familiar line of, well, there's so many items on our site, we just can't catch them all. I told him, I get that. But I'm just going to do a search real quick for not even volunteer. I'm going to take volunteer off. I'm going to look for National Park Service patch. 706 active listings. Now, some of those weren't patches. They were like, it had the insignia on a thing or whatever, but just generically, you search for National Park Service patch, 700 plus items show up. Mine is the one you catch and say, you can't do that. I told him, I also looked at the solds. You remember how the brown arrowhead is the National Park Service employee patch? A set of 2 sold today. And it says right on there, it's an employee patch, if I remember correctly. This one's a volunteer. They sold an actual patch that they wear. A set of 2 of them they sold today. Worth noting, also out there, either available or sold. Now I don't remember because I'm all flustered. But there are other actual patches. There are patches on hats There's actually a shirt that I noticed right away. It's up at the top of the listings. You can buy an actual Forest Service shirt with the patch already on the sleeve. Seems a little bit wrong, right? That a volunteer patch is flagged, my account is suspended, but you can buy an actual employee patch. You can buy an actual employee shirt. The policy, let me pull it up here. It says that vintage or collectible uniforms and accessories may be listed if they meet all of these requirements, okay? And there's just three. There's 3 bullet points. The item is 10 years or older, it's no longer in use, and it doesn't look like a current uniform or accessory. So what Caesar latched onto, saying that this is what the team was telling him that flagged it, I guess there's a patch team, I don't know, is that it closely resembles. And so I failed that one, okay? So that's the reason he gave, is that 3rd bullet point, that it closely resembles, it looks like a current piece of their uniform. That's what I got in trouble for. Volunteer. Once again, it's not actually a government employee wearing this, so the fact that it falls under the government identification policy, kind of weird. I asked him, I said, hey, Caesar, who can I talk to help me understand this better? Is there somebody else I can talk to? I basically was saying, hey, I want to talk to your boss. So what he told me is this is the highest level of support that I can reach using that online feature. He's not going to hand the keyboard over to somebody else. He said, but you can go ahead and talk to somebody on the phone. And so I thought, you know what? Fine. I'm going to talk to somebody on the phone. I explained the whole thing to him again and said, hey, I'd like to get this thing sorted out. And we went back and forth with me explaining all the information again. Now, he seized on a different reason. Remember, Caesar tells me it's because it closely resembles something that they're wearing and it could impersonate a park ranger. But the guy on the phone went to a different reason. He said it's because because I told him, hey, this is an old patch. And he says, well, we don't know that. We can't know that. I said, well, it is, despite the fact, again, that it's a volunteer patch, and so none of this should matter. But even if it was a Park Service patch, right, I explained, I said, hey, look, I'm going down your list. I'm reading your policy that you sent to me. And the 3 things, it's 10 years old or older, it's no longer in use, and it doesn't look like a current uniform or accessory. You check those 3 boxes and you're allowed to list it. The thing that he seized on is that the item is 10 years old or older. He says, how do we know that? I said, well, I know that, right? Like when I listed it, I know that. He says, well, we don't know that because you didn't put in the listing the date that it was manufactured. Has anybody ever seen a manufacturing date on a patch? Unless it's maybe in a package, it's new and sealed or something. I guess saying it's vintage is not enough. Apparently, according to eBay telephone guy, you have to put in your listing the year that it was manufactured. Otherwise, eBay doesn't know that it's old, and they can yank it and suspend your account for 3 days, apparently. And I told him, I said, hey, I know that it's more than 10 years old. I said, that's not in your policy. It says it has to be 10 years or older. And he kept sticking on the fact of, well, how do I know that it's 10 years or older? Apparently, I said, so if I put in there that if this was from the 1980s, then I would be fine. And he seemed to indicate yes. So all I was missing, he says, well, that's why we allow you a description. You have to put in the description, when this was manufactured, when this was assembled, I think he said, when it was assembled. I said, there's no way for me to know an exact date. I'm not going to guess on an exact date. I have a general idea, but I'm not going to guess and put it in there. And apparently that's the reason I'm suspended, is because I don't have an actual manufacturing date of this patch that is not actually worn by park rangers. Incidentally, Caesar says, well, if you have a question about an item, the safest thing to do is to reach out to us and ask us if it's okay to list. So apparently we have to go through eBay every time we want to list something that we have even the slightest bit of question about, if it's allowed, we got to contact them. Of course, I didn't have any question about this because it's not actually a government identification piece. Apparently, that doesn't matter. That's where I'm at. You know, I'm stuck. You know, I got different answers from two different people of why I got targeted for this thing. Now, eBay telephone guy did say that he will file for me an appeal. I mean, I tried twice. It's not like that's going to do anything, but I said, okay. I did ask, I said, when will we hear on that? He said, within 48 hours. I said, okay, so through 2 of the 3 days that you're blacking my account out on the website, I'll hear back. And I'm assuming hear a no. So it's frustrating. It's super frustrating, especially like I told both of them, you know, I followed the rules as written and still got in trouble. And I don't know how they expect sellers to know that. I asked the guy, I said, you know, how are we supposed to know when we list something that then becomes, at least, Caesar saying, well, it looks like the current thing. That's a judgment call, right? I said, so how are we supposed to know what somebody else is going to think? You know, how am I supposed to know that? It's a complete judgment call. And in my estimation, they're completely blown. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys tell me if this looks like an actual Park Service employee patch and I'm just crazy about this whole thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but if I am, tell me. You know, I'm wrong. You know, I've been wrong before. It's happened. I promise you it's happened. Maybe I'm wrong here. I just don't, I don't think I am. So, you know, I've been talking last little bit of slow sales. I'd take slow sales at this point because through the weekend, I'm not going to sell anything, though. I can, I believe, send out offers to watchers. And so I can send out offers on the stuff that people are watching. We'll see if that turns into a sale here and there. But, I mean, I don't know. What are you going to do? You know, I still will sing the praises of eBay in general. But then stuff like this comes up, right? And I don't get paid for 3 days. You guys, let me know, I guess. Like I said, am I wrong? Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Or have you gone to eBay jail? You know, what's it like? What am I going to experience here? You know, I don't know who's in here with me, either currently or who's been there before. Maybe you've been to eBay jail. Why did you get thrown in eBay jail? Give us your story. You know, maybe you can help others. But if you're going to list some sort of government-related patch, I guess, put the year in there. But even then, it closely resembles, so the year wouldn't have even mattered. I don't know. That's what I got for you today, guys. I know, just kind of a stream of consciousness, rambling rant, but it's what I got, you know. We'll see. I guess I'll build up some drafts over the next couple days and put together some videos for you. And maybe we'll do a pop-up whatnot auction here in the next couple days. I'll let you know if we decide to do that. But you know, Sunday, you know what? I'll plan to do it on Sunday. So my whatnot information is down below. If you want to follow me on there, I'm not probably going to have anything to ship out from over the weekend, so we'll have time to do some whatnot shipping on Monday. So on Sunday, we're going to do a whatnot auction. We'll see what I come up with. Just I have several different things that we could do there, and maybe we'll do a couple of different themed shows on Sunday to split those up. Watch tomorrow's video, and I'll let you know what time we're gonna do that. So I guess we'll do that, and we'll hang out on whatnot, guys. I appreciate it. See you next time.